Welcome to The Blue Dot, Northern Kentucky's premier political podcast, brought to you by the Kenton County Democratic Executive Committee. Welcome back to The Blue Dot podcast, where we shine a light on local voices making a difference in their communities. In this special What's Happening in Your Holler episode, we're headed down to Fayette County, which covers all of Lexington. It's home to the Kentucky Horse Park and not too far from some great bourbon distilleries. Thanks so much for joining. I'm Natalie MacDonald.
Yeah, that's right, Natalie. And I'm Brian Koehl. And yes, those bourbon distilleries. Today, we are joined by Karen Summers, the chair of the Fayette County Democrats. Karen, thanks for joining us. We're so happy to have you.
I'm glad to be here. And I just say you're talking about listening and voices. Y'all have great podcast voices.
Brian does. For sure.
No, you're good. You're good, Natalie.
Well,
you got it, Natalie. Come on.
Well, flattery will get you everywhere on the Blue Dot podcast.
That's right. So. You're already our favorite guest.
I'm already wearing the blue dots. I'm in.
You came with it all. All right. Well, let's start with kind of the basics. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you've been up to in Fayette County with the Dems there.
Well, I think it's kind of where I came from. As I became chair of just being a volunteer. I'm not been in politics, haven't worked on a campaign, none of that. My family doesn't come from politics. I was getting fed up with our representation in Washington and signed up to get a yard sign. And then through the Fayette Dems, I got on their email list and they needed help for a 4th of July event. And I came to the booth, and one of the volunteers I met that day is now the secretary. This is like about 10 years ago. And then I learned about the Kentucky Women's Network and got involved with them and became chair of the Fayette branch. And the mentors there really helped me. And then I started going to executive committee meetings in Lexington before I was on the executive committee. Next thing you know, I'm on executive committee. And then there was a reorg. And in Lexington, we have a little different makeup. The bigger counties have legislative district chairs. So I then became legislative district chair in the 79th. And then the vice chair has to come from those. And guess who became vice chair? So in about 2 years, I went from nothing to being in leadership. And my now vice chair, we joke that we're there because we're the only two that kept showing up. That's not totally true, but So then after about 15 months of being vice chair, the chair moved out of state for a job. So it was fast. And this is also as we're coming out of COVID and, we've got the felon in the White House. I mean, it was crazy. Luckily, I had 2 former vice chairs that were great help. I had got a great comms chair. I have a great volunteer chair, and we started working and started building, and we're just getting started. And then at the last reorg, when I got reelected, I really felt like I knew what I was doing. I had been through a whole cycle. And here's the irony that I'm on your podcast is I started using We Need to Grow the Blue Dot of Lexington, because one of the things I was trying to figure out is what do we do? How do we do this? And I'm a volunteer, all are volunteers, but I spend a lot of my waking hours thinking about how we get more Democrats elected. So I spent a lot of time listening to podcasts, reading, figuring out what to do, talking to people, and there wasn't a lot out there. I was just kind of finding my way. But Lexington is a blue dot in a red sea, and we realized if we weren't going to flip anything until we started growing that blue dot, and we can talk more about that later. But here I am, for better or for worse, as I say.
Yeah, when we started with the podcast, trying to name it, growing the blue dot is it just says it like it is, right? I mean, it tells you exactly how you feel if you're a Democrat with, in a red area. So there was just really like no other name that was going to do for us. So it fit.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, we always like to ask a question that Governor Beshear always asks, and that is, what is your why? Why are you a Democrat?
So let me quote a young Dem, what they said to me once while they were Democrat, and she went, "Duh, human rights." And I thought that was a great answer.
Awesome.
But for me,
I love it.
Personally, I am a breast cancer survivor. I mean, my husband and I are both self-employed. I mean, I had some insurance, but it's a big thing. And I think everyone shouldn't have to stress about how they're going to pay their deductible to go get everybody needs health insurance. There's no reason in this country not everyone has access to affordable health care. So that's been a more recent thing, but I'm also a graduate of public education. I come from a long line of public educators. And the bottom line is I think everyone should try to make the world a better place, whatever that may be. Doesn't mean you have to give away millions of dollars or you don't have to go in to be a volunteer, but everyone should make the world a better place. And this is one way I'm trying to do that. I am also an occupational therapist, so I work with adults and children with special needs. And it's hard to do that and watch what the current administration in Washington is doing that you just can't. I just can't. So here I am.
Yeah, especially
I-
in the profession that you're in. I mean, you're getting hit. It's healthcare, it's education, and then especially so the special education and those with disabilities. So I'm sure you're seeing that from all sides.
Everything. And I think one thing we need to remember too, everyone should know their why, is even if you're not interested in politics, it still impacts you. So everyone should think that. And I ask people, what is your why? And that's a great conversation starter to talk to people when you're trying to meet at the local level. And maybe you don't really want to talk politics, but try to learn more about them. What is important to them?
Yeah.
And that's a great way to start us. And I follow the governor's lead. Know your why.
100%. And speaking of that, you're out there talking to people, you're hearing about what is really important to people. And I think all across the state and the country, we kind of hear about the top things, but I also think that there are some nuances in every county. So what are the top 3 things that you are hearing or discussing with your neighbors there in Fayette County that are really important and that you're really trying to address?
So it's housing, affordable housing. It's
Okay.
probably one of the top things. I don't know if you know Lexington, we have some restrictions. We're trying to keep some of those horse parks and so there's only so much space where there's to build. And so that means people that, like, I have a house in Lexington that goes up in value, so nobody wants their houses to go down. I mean, it's hard for people even having a good job to start buying a house like I was fortunate to do. So that's really the top thing. We're also very concerned with public education, what's going on and what the state's trying to do to public education. And as I said, healthcare is still, the cost of healthcare is a huge thing. But when I was knocking doors last year, last year was an election, but we were out there still knocking doors to hear what people were interested in. And you wouldn't believe how many people told me they were concerned. Anything that Trump was doing, they were against. That's what they said, almost verbatim. So even though sometimes I think that's maybe not how people are voting, but it's still an issue that we need to think about and hold our elected officials accountable.
And that was
I mean, I
last
think that's
year.
interesting.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Brian. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I was
we
going to
just-
say, I just kind of have this thing that I see pundits and I hear people that, I'm talking to, they say, well, tell me what you're for, what you're going to do. Just being against Donald Trump or not doing what Donald Trump is doing is not enough. And honestly, I think it is enough, because why can't we just say, if Donald Trump is doing it, I would do the opposite, which means you are pretty much doing what you said out of the gate, that you think that everyone should be doing something to improve the lives of others, improve
Yes.
our society. Well, if you do the opposite of what Donald Trump is doing today, you're automatically doing that. So I'm not sure why that's not good enough.
But I'll say, I think it's also how you message it. You just can't be anti-Trump. You still got to stand what you got to stand for. And I think we need to do a better job of tying the Republicans to Trump. I mean, to me, the No Kings rally, the Republicans are the ones that are are allowing him to do all the things he's doing.
Oh,
so we have to
absolutely.
do that. So
Yeah. I totally agree. So the kitchen table topics and your top 3 you just talked about, we hear a lot, right? Healthcare, public education, housing, of course, the immigration. It's tend to gone a little undercover right now. They're still doing the exact same thing they were doing. They're just not having the big surges. I just read an article not too long ago, maybe a couple of days ago, that was like ICE is still out there doing what they're doing. They're still funded. They've figured out that making a big spectacle out of it doesn't work for them. So that's another one of those big topics. What are Democrats in Fayette County doing to address these issues? What do you hear from your members? And, are there some specific initiatives in your holler that are addressing some of these things you'd like to talk about?
Well, one thing, when I became chair, and like I said, I came in kind of fast, trying to figure out what to do. So we started having a strategic plan. So we always start the year off. We get everybody together and we figure out this is what we're going to do, and we lay our plan out and get everything going. This year, instead of actually doing that, we had a training for messaging. So we were talking about try to teach people how to talk to their neighbors at the precinct level. And it was when that snowstorm hit. I don't know how bad it was up there. It was awful in Lexington. And I canceled basically everything. I thought we'd do it all on Zoom, and I had 40 people show up.
Wow.
So people were really, it shows you that people want to know how to talk to people, what to do. So we've been really putting an emphasis on that. We have already started phone banking, and we're kind of continuing the deep canvassing that we did last year, calling out, asking what people are concerned about, just trying to get people geared up to vote in the primary and the general. So we've already started doing that. We also have our monthly social hours, but what we're trying to do this year, instead of having people come to us, we're really trying to identify events across the entire county where we can go to them. For example, in April, we're going to join a peace walk against violence. That's to honor a gentleman that was killed. So we're going to go and be part of our neighborhood. This summer, we're going to go. There's a park in northern part of Lexington that they have jazz in the park. I didn't know that. We're going to go meet the people wherever we're at. I mean, we're really putting a focus on precinct level. You had on your podcast, I don't know how long ago, it was David Pepper talked about precincts, and it really inspired me that we need to be looking more at our local level. And that was one of the reasons why we had that training back in January. So how do you start talking to your neighbors? How do you get them to understand their why and why you should vote? So we're kind of hitting the ground running and not waiting until October to start knocking doors. And then we'll have, we're going to actually do, for the first time ever, get out the vote for the primary. We can't obviously promote candidates, but we can get people to vote to hopefully get them ready to go for November. And then come back and talk to me. We'll have even more to do. We're building up to the fall on GOTV.
Wow. Do you, go ahead.
No,
Natalie.
I was just saying, I love that precinct level involvement. You know, like you said, I mean, even when you had the snowstorm, and my nephew lives in Lexington, and he's in college down there, and he's like, but he was all mad at the roads because the roads weren't getting cleared fast enough for him or something, right? But these people still showed up, and that's what people want to get involved. We just need to be visible for them.
And I think one thing, we haven't done a lot at the precinct level, the way Fayette County, just our structure, we haven't. And so that's one of our strategic goals for the year, is to increase more precinct captains and get more people involved at the precinct level. So that'll be an ongoing, that'll keep going past the November election. But I think that's something we all need to work on.
Well, it's so critical. More. It's so critical because David Pepper mentioned it. And then we had two of our Kenton County precinct leaders on following that and talked about the training and what they were doing in precinct, which was really good. But, you know, getting out early and getting to know people and not showing up just a couple of weeks before you need their vote, you have to build that kind of community and that sense of trust, which is so important. And I was also curious on your communication training that you did. Just could you tell us a little bit about who conducted that or how you had that? I'm very interested in that.
Well, and I can give you more. We were lucky enough. We have a young man that's worked on some of our campaigns who's a debate coach. So he kind of talked about how to talk to people. Awesome. So it was kind of that strategy. And then we were lucky enough to have Morgan Eves, who's executive director of KDP, kind of talked about what to say. Nice. So we talked about tabletop issues, but it was how to, broach people. You don't want to obviously yell at them, don't accuse them, listen, do a lot of listening, I think is one of the main things.
You don't want to do all the stuff that you want to do.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard, but it was just good. And I think it was just nothing else, just for people to understand that we've got to talk to more people and we've got to do more. Just one training is not going to solve it. And we need to get more people comfortable with talking to people on the phone and talking to people at the doors and talking to people that they, everyone's kind of, I don't want to offend anybody. And it is an awkward situation, but we've got to get better at it. So it was just a way to kind of give people more confidence to do that.
Oh, that's great. I mean, then you also have a big fundraiser coming up here at the end of the month, right?
I am so excited. So I've always had an interest in politics, but I was like, oh, it's money, it's dirty. And now here I am. One of my favorite things to do, strategic planning and fundraising. We are lucky enough that Malcolm Kenyatta, who is the vice chair of the DNC, can I say that again? Vice chair of the DNC is coming to a Fayette County fundraiser. I think that's very unusual for someone at that level to come to a county party, but I think it supports what we're doing. We got to talk about flipping the six. We'll get to that in a minute. So I think they recognize we have an important race. That's our congressional race. I was lucky enough to meet him at a DNC meeting, and we got some things going, and he wanted to come to Kentucky, and we are so excited. So it's April 30th, and you can see I've got my website above me. You can go to our website. You may not be able to see me if you're on the podcast, but it's FayetteDemocrats.org to learn more. I think he will be a great speaker. If you are an NBC watcher, you've probably seen him. He's run for
I've seen him, yes.
Pennsylvania. Very dynamic speaker. So I think he'll be good. And I think he's going to talk about what can we do? How can we win? So just because you're not in Fayette County doesn't mean you won't get something out of it. And the money raised is mainly going to help. It's going to help Fayette County, but that's going to help the whole 6th Congressional District because we're gerrymandered out. So it's just not that you're just helping your local party. It's trying to get the infrastructure so that we can turn that red congressional seat of candy bars to be a Dem. So that's where we're at.
Very exciting.
And the name of the fundraiser is Growing the Blue Dot.
Even better.
Of course. Of course, it's the mantra, it's what we need to be doing. Just growing that blue dot.
Heck yeah. And all eyes are on midterm, right? And for flipping seats. So go ahead and tell me a little bit about, you mentioned the 6th.
So we're the 6th Congressional District. And as I said,
Mhm.
Candy Barr is our current representative who's running for Senate. So it's an open seat. So we have a lot more interest. And the Washington congressional people, Democrats have noted that this will be one of those seats that we need to flip. So we're on the list. So we've got a primary going right now. I'll be glad to know when that is on May 20th, when I know who our candidate is.
Right.
What I'm excited about is we're going to have a viable candidate. We haven't had that in the past couple of election cycles. And then I'm even more I'm going to get goosebumps excited talking about we're going to have a coordinated campaign. So that means we'll have some money coming in to help that candidate. And it's not just going to help us at the congressional level. It'll help our legislators, everything up and down the ballot.
Nice.
And so I am pumped.
Yeah.
The other thing we're going to do to help grow the blue dot is from our fundraiser. I don't believe I mentioned this. We're going to try to hire interns so they can help knock doors, then also learn more about campaigns so they can help in the future. Can I say, so Lexington's is blue dot, especially if you live inside New Circle. If you've been to Lexington, you have, except for in Congress, you have blue representation. Okay. But then as soon as you get outside New Circle, you're less likely to have Democratic representation in Frankfort because of all the gerrymandering. So one thing that I started doing, no one said do this, I started meeting with all the county chairs in the 6th. So we have quarterly meetings because the only way we're going to flip the 6th is if everybody works together. It's not like Lexington can do it by itself. So that was something I'm really proud that we've developed those relationships. So if you need a question, you can just call, text, and you can stay in touch with those other county chairs. So then when we have our coordinated campaign, we're all going to be working together, and we will have, as Lexington deserves, a Democrat in Congress come the next year.
That is so exciting. And I love the strategic planning and putting all that together and pulling in all the other vice chairs, all the other leadership around you and saying, hey, this is a coalition, this is a team effort if we're going to make it happen, because that's what we need to do. Fantastic work.
So you get a little sneak peek secret into, we're going to be having Andrew Grossman on the podcast, and he is with Battleground Alliance. And they are going to be supporting the 6th. So I don't know if you know that yet, or if you've heard of that yet.
I have not, but that's okay. I mean, I know we're going to have some help. I think we're just trying to wait till we find out who our candidate is, and we'll know more information and go from there. But I am very excited that we're going to have a viable candidate in the 6th.
Well, I'm super excited to talk to him too. So make sure you tune into that one. And we had one of the 6 candidates on the podcast. So yeah, we got an eye on you guys there for sure. All right. And then, I want to ask you talked a little bit about how you like to do fundraising. I'm just curious, do you have any secrets or best practices?
I don't know if I like to do fundraising. I like planning it. Is that what I'm saying? Like trying to find where we're going to have it. I'm always like, so as soon as this one's over, I'll be plotting who we're going to get for a speaker. I've been wanting a big name speaker, so this is kind of fun. And it's kind of fun to think about what would engage people. I mean, when I first came in, it was right after COVID and we hadn't had fundraisers. And so we did something kind of low key, and then we've kind of built on it every year that we've done. The more I've done this, we get a little bigger and bigger. It's also fun to be in a room with a bunch of people that think like you do. And it kind of sends off that vibe. It's, very exciting. I mean, we got to have Morgan McGarvey last year. So that was exciting. And we've had the governor come and speak before. So we've been lucky in Fayette County.
Yeah, because you guys you have a lot of voters down there, so that's great. All right.
Can I say one more thing about our voters? So unfortunately, in the 24 cycle, we didn't do as well as we wanted to. But Lexington, percentage-wise, stayed one of the bluest dots in the entire country. And the good news is we have room to grow. That's what I'm focused on, is that growing part.
Lexington is expanding like crazy. So I've got family down there. We're down there all the time. 2 of my boys went to UK, and it is growing by leaps and bounds. So there's so much opportunity down there for you guys. It's great.
Yes. Well,
awesome.
We also, we like to do a little lightning round with all of our guests to get to know you a little bit better. We do 5 fun, quick questions. If you're up for that.
I'm ready.
All righty. Well,
I need a buzzer. Can I buzz in?
Yeah, that's right.
Sounds like you're organized. You like planning. So my question to you is, that planner of yours, is it electronic, or are you old school paper planner?
It's all on the phone now.
Is it?
I mean, for politics, it's all on the phone. Work, I still use some paper. I have to use paper, but and if I don't put it in there, it gets forgotten. I love still writing on ink on paper. I have another book that I write thoughts down in, but for scheduling, it's all on the phone.
I wish I could get it all on my phone, but I'm still paper-based. I don't know. And then this is going to be tough because I think you guys got a lot of good restaurants down there in Lexington. What's your best, or what is the best restaurant, or your favorite, I should say, restaurant?
Okay. Have you heard of DV8? DV8.
No.
So there's
No.
2 locations. And what's so cool about this is a restaurant that helps people that need to rehab alcohol and drug addiction. So it gives them jobs. But they have these little sliders on baroche rolls with scrambled eggs, bacon, and sriracha ketchup.
Oh
And
my
it's
God.
divine. It's divine. And they have all kinds of other things. They make a special cinnamon roll every month, and they have places you can sit outside. And my other vice is cherry Coke, and they have cherry Coke. So it's just a
Oh.
great. It is. It's just a great. They have great food. You feel like you're doing something for your community when you go there. It's a great. I don't know how many Democratic meetings I've met candidates there and other things. So it's a great.
Fun.
So
Nice.
Oh,
I'll
awesome.
check
there's
that
Well, I
my.
will
I think
definitely
that's
check
kind of
that
like
out.
there's other restaurants that people have heard of, but I thought it'd be good to plug something that's and that's become my go-to lately. It's DV8.
Yes.
DV.
Love it. Yeah, but Brian, I think he's taking notes. He's taking notes.
I'm already looking. You said sriracha ketchup. You got me there.
Yeah. All right. Is there one politician that inspired you, or one politician who
Well,
inspired you the
there's a
most?
couple, but let me tell you what the biggest thing is for my anniversary. My husband, and this has been a decade ago or so. John Lewis came to Louisville and was interviewed by Rachel Maddow, and yeah, I know. And so that's what we did for our anniversary. That shows you where we're at. But he is just, I just can't even tell you how he was impressive. I mean, I knew who he was. I knew he would be impressive. And I knew that he was for civil rights, but he wasn't just for civil rights for African Americans. He's for civil rights for everybody. And he did a call to action that night. He was promoting a book, and I said right then, okay, Karen, you've got to get more involved. You've got to get more involved. Now, I'd like to say I went out the next morning and joined up with the Fayette Dems, but I didn't. But it's really lit me to get going and how important it was. And I'm like, if he can do what he can do, I can do my little bit. So that's what got me
That's
started.
exactly
And then I
right.
got the pleasure of meeting him afterwards. This hand shook his hand. Renee Shaw from KET. I got
Oh,
me. She
sure.
was Karen, meet Karen. So that was my big inspiration. I've also had the pleasure of meeting Crit Llewellyn, who talked about when she was state auditor, she ticked some people off so much that she'd have to have police escort to go in counties to be safe. And I
Wow.
thought that's every politician. I'm not saying you should tick everybody off, but that just shows you what she stood for. And then, we got to mention, if you can see me, you can see I got a poster of Andy behind me. Andy inspires us every day. So
Absolutely.
those are my 3. How about that for answer?
Well, I'm still trying to get over the fact that you
Pretty
had
awesome.
John Lewis and Rachel Maddow in the same room.
Now, I did not get to
Yeah.
meet Rachel.
But
She
you
left.
were still same room.
But it was
Yeah.
auditorium, but I still, yes, it was pretty exciting. And if I had to choose, as much as I'd like to meet Rachel, she was my dad's favorite, to meet John Lewis before he passed was
I would go with John. Good John.
Gosh.
huge honor.
Yeah.
And he went to school in Nashville where I grew up at Fisk. So there's another connection.
Oh, wow.
Well, I do see your Andy sign in the back. I sometimes will have props behind me. Usually there's a Kamala Harris, and I need to get a cardboard cutout of Governor Bashir. And
Do you know that we started that? Fayette Dems, we're the one that did the first cutout of Andy. We have it at our booth, our events. Our comms guy did that. Anyway.
Oh, well, we need to talk offline on how I get a copy of that because I can't find it. Yes. And, Brian, and if I talked to Governor Bashir a couple of times, and he's like, yeah, I'm coming on your podcast. Let's schedule it. And then he's, of course, the man has no time, right? He's so booked right now, but little cardboard cutout Andy would be fine. And speaking of
we'll
Governor
take whatever
Bashir,
we can get.
What's that, Brian?
I say we'll take whatever we can get of Andy.
Exactly. But speaking of Governor Bashir, if you could ask him one question, what would it be?
Because I have had the luxury of talking to him some, is I would say, what does Fayette County need to do to get more Dems elected up and down the ballot? I mean, that's all it is. I'll tell you one of my Andy stories. I worked for a nonprofit, and my boss said he knew I was going to go meet the governors before going to the DNC back in 24. And he goes, please thank him because he did away with unemployment from COVID. And if he hadn't done that, we would have gone out of business. And when I tell the governor, he's kind of like, yeah, that was the right thing to do. And then he moves on to talk about something else. Like he wouldn't even take, it wasn't like he was like, oh, thank you. It was like, right thing to do, and then moved on. Yep. And I think that says all you need to know about Governor Bashir, right? Or Andy, I should say Andy.
Exactly. Right. All right, this one's kind of an easier one. Would you rather be on the Bourbon Trail or at Keeneland watching the horse?
Keeneland. I got engaged at Keeneland.
Did you really?
Oh, wow. There you go.
And Keeneland, when it's a beautiful day and there's a lot of people, Keeneland.
It is the best. Love it down there.
For sure. Well, there you go. That wasn't too bad, was it?
I think I survived.
Okay.
Well, Karen, finally, for Democrats listening, in your area who want to get involved, what's your call to action? How can they help?
Well, we've talked about it throughout this entire podcast. It is
Right.
really just talking to people. I mean, we need to talk to people to get them engaged. You can go to our website, I can't talk, FayetteDemocrats.org. And then you can sign up to get our emails so you know events that's coming up and just come and join us. But main thing is you need to talk to your neighbors and get them involved. And if you're listening to this podcast, my guess is you already are engaged. We just need to spread things out and get going. Just listen to a podcast or going to a rally is not going to get more people to the polls. But we can give you some resources. We can get you plugged in. And I think that goes not just in Fayette Dem, but that's across the entire state. Anybody listen to this, get involved with your local party.
Right.
And figure out how you can help. You don't have to be on the executive committee. You don't have to. There's always something that needs to be done. We are an all-volunteer organization. We do not get money from Washington if we don't have volunteers. We all make mistakes sometimes, as I'm sure I did on this podcast. But it's important to have volunteers, and that's how we get things done. And that's how we start talking to our neighbors. And that's what's really going to boil down to is talking to those people that maybe they don't have time to watch the news. Maybe they don't really understand what's going on, but it's bad out there and people need to start helping and do that.
Really
Why?
is.
How can you make the world a better place? And I think that's it. And then the other thing I would also say is the Kentucky Women's Network. We have branches across the state and y'all have very strong chapters up in Northern Kentucky. That's another way. That's how I got started was being in the Kentucky Women's Network. So I'll do another plug.
Love it.
Yeah, I think that's great. Like you said earlier, there's really something about being in a room with like-minded people where you realize there's a lot of people that are angry about what's going on. They want to make a change. They value some of the basic, human rights and human dignity that's just being violated left and right today. So my wife and I decided to get more involved as, I retired and I'm like, what am I going to do? And it's taking that first step. Once you take it, it's like you get yourself involved in the world and get to know a bunch of people that you really feel like you really can make a difference and are making a difference. When Natalie at a happy hour said, I've got a podcast, I opened my mouth and said, well, I've always been interested in doing something like that. And typically I would not do that. I had my wife over there going, did you hear that podcast? But I'm so happy I did because now I'm just learning so much and getting to meet so many great people. You just got to take that first step. I mean, just do it, just dive in.
And
y'all,
and
you obviously have.
And I think I went a little overboard, but that's okay. It's important.
Yeah, don't dive into the deep end.
Well, you just got to find your niche. And I think I found my
Right.
niche is what I did. But I don't think I said this to y'all. Thank y'all for doing this podcast. I know it takes a lot of time. People don't realize how long it takes to do these things, doing your 10-minute wrap up every week that talks about things. And we appreciate it. And it's a way to this is a great way. Everybody can listen to a podcast while they're walking or cleaning their house
Right.
or on their way to work or whatever, and then find out what's going on in their hollers.
Yep.
And just get more involved. That's really, and it can be just involved, like I said, talking to your neighbor, your friends and family. I bet we all have family that aren't voting like we think they should or voting at all.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to engage those people.
That's right.
Love
Well,
it.
thank you. Thank you for your kind words. We appreciate it. We really enjoy doing this. We have a good time. Yeah. Oh, I kind of miss,
It
but I don't
comes
see Natalie
along.
on a little screen a couple times a week.
Well, I call politics as my vocation. This is not my job. This is not what I don't even call it volunteer. I
That's
call
good.
it my
I like
vocation.
that.
And
Yeah.
I think that's important. Know your why and what you're doing. That's great.
Absolutely.
Grow
That's
the blue
great.
dot.
Absolutely.
Grow the blue dot. Well, thanks for joining us, Karen. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
All right. And thanks so much. And we're going to be keeping an eye on you down there in Fayette.
I hope so. Hold me accountable.
And that's it for this edition of What's Happening in Your Holler. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming podcasts or exclusive material. And don't forget, you can join the conversation at our Facebook and Instagram pages or at thebluedotpodcast.com. And if you like listening to the pod, consider donating to help fund it, which you can do by clicking on the donate link at bluedotpodcast.com. Until next time, stay curious, keep the facts in focus, and never stop fighting for what matters. Peace out, everyone.